Story 1. The moment I stopped putting in effort, they never reached out again. That is when I knew it was one-sided. Story 2. She told my boyfriend not to date me when he showed interest in me. My boyfriend and I have been together for 4 years. We do not talk to her anymore. Story 3. I was there for her when no one else was. I am going through the worst time in my entire life, and she dropped me as if I were hurting her. She can go away. Story 4. I was there for him when he needed something like money, a free therapist, time, and so on. But when I was experiencing homelessness or some form of abuse, he blocked me for sharing my trauma. He was a terrible person. Looking back now, I have fewer friends than I did in my younger years. I am nearly 30, but I am happier with fewer, higher quality friends whom I know I can rely on. Story 5. One person would laugh when I was being bullied. Some other people attempted to use the fact that I was shy with selective mutism to possibly get me into trouble for just walking out of the classroom without permission. Story 6. A girl I was pretty good friends with got pregnant, and I received a text saying, "You're the first person I'm telling. Haha, I'm pregnant," or something similar. I was so excited to hear her news and felt more sincere about our friendship, knowing I was her first to tell. When I brought it up the next time I saw her, she had a dismissive tone, looked down while smirking, and said, "I didn't even mean to text you. That was an accident. I thought you were someone else." I was crushed because she was the first girlfriend I had managed to make since moving to the country, where it was impossible to make new friends. In that same conversation, I tried to vent about my sister being paralyzed in a car accident 3 days after my grandfather died. She listened but then responded by talking about the man she was having an affair with. She didn't say a word in response to what I told her. Conversely, my sister who had the accident did something equally revealing a year later. I tried to be there for her and provide support. I even flew across the country to help move her out of her apartment and drove her and her animals over 1,200 miles to their new place. I live in the Pacific Northwest, so I told her she should visit, and I would take her on a Twilight-themed road trip because she loves Twilight. I sent her videos of places to go and so on. 3 months after I drove her across the country, she planned the road trip through the Pacific Northwest I suggested with someone else. When I texted her the day she arrived in my state, asking to meet up or if they needed an overnight stop on one of the days, and, as a big sister, told her to bring water and bear spray just in case, she blocked me. She did not speak to me for over a year after coming to the state where I live, blocking me and going on a trip I had suggested. Story 7. I had been out for barely a year. I was a young lesbian and had just become comfortable with my girlfriend. I was still slowly expressing my sexuality and introducing her to new people. All my friends did was leer at me and make inappropriate comments about our intimate life, which made me feel uncomfortable. They had not even met her in person as we were in a long-distance relationship. Looking back, they treated me very poorly. Story 8. Leaving me out and lying. Can't hang today. Doctor appointment in another town. See them at the mall with a mutual friend. Got it. Story 9. My boyfriend and I were moving back to our hometown. To do that, he had to get a job there first, so he did and would stay with his parents Monday through Friday and come back to see me on weekends. It was a 1 hour and 45-minute drive. I was unemployed and going through some health struggles, both mentally and physically. We had lived in the city for about 5 years, and I made a handful of friends during that time, but I only gave genuine weight to one of them. The rest were more casual, which I was fine with. About 2 weeks into my lonely struggle, my boyfriend came back, and we went to my friend's place for dinner and some gaming. While there, I expressed my struggles to her and asked if we could arrange spending even an hour or two together twice a week. She had a toddler, so I knew I would probably have to travel to her instead of having her drive to my place with her child, and I said I was fine with that. A reason to leave the house would be excellent. She enthusiastically agreed. Over the next month or two, I think I saw her once for a total of 30 minutes. Every time I reached out, we would make plans, and every time the day of the plans arrived, she had conveniently double-booked or completely forgot and was unavailable. That was when I noticed that she was never the one to reach out first. Ever. I checked extensively, so I stopped reaching out. After my boyfriend and I settled into our new apartment back in our hometown, maybe 6 months after the move, she reached out to me. I made plans and went to their new place. She had not even told me she moved until we made these plans, and I had a very awkward time there. She and her husband did nothing but talk about their lives, never once asking us about anything. I went home and did not hear from her for over a year. Then suddenly, she started texting me like we talked daily. She went on and on about work drama and things I had no context for, again asking me nothing. 2 days into that, I sent her a message saying I thought I was done with the friendship. I was willing to talk about it and explain why I was ending it, but all she said was that she wanted her guitar back. She had lent me her spare when I broke mine. After that, her husband sent me a long message insulting me, saying I should keep being friends with her, that she was having a mental breakdown because of it, and insulting me repeatedly. That did not make me want to keep being her friend. She still never picked up the guitar. She was going to send her brother, who lives closer to me, to pick it up, but never did. That was years ago. I would still give it back if she reached out, but I am not going out of my way to return it after everything her husband said. Story 10. It took 12 years for me to truly realize that she wasn't there for me in hard times, while I would do anything to help her. I let her live with me while she was going through a difficult period, and she destroyed my apartment and caused a cockroach infestation. There was constant passive aggression and one-upping, attempts to make me look bad to our mutual friends, and she got upset when I made my own friends. All of this went on for 12 years, and I didn't cut her off until she slept with my former fiancé. Story 11. When people speak negatively about you to others, and you find out after you have let them sleep on your couch and paid for meals, it feels disappointing. Genuine relationships are rare nowadays. Talking directly to me about me is something I can accept. Story 12. When you realize that you are just a character in their life, not a friend, someone they gossip about to others. They are never interested in what is going well for you or what is in store for your future, only focused on past events and their version of the past. When you realize they have no empathy for what you are going through, but plenty of judgment. Story 13. After I was assaulted by our mutual friend, they told me they would not stop spending time with this man because he had just been accused of assault and needed someone to support him. Story 14. They only showed up or called when they needed something, but whenever I needed something or wanted to hang out, they made an excuse. Story 15. When they told me they were just being kind to me, I have come to really hate that. It has made me genuinely paranoid about friendships I have had for years, wondering if they actually even like me. Story 16. When you are trying to maintain a relationship and initiate communication, but they do not respond. Story 17. Just a warning. If you ever lend money or a place to stay to a friend, make sure you never talk to them again. They will never pay you back or thank you. This is what I have learned. Everyone has asked me for these things, and I am left with no friends. I can say it is my fault, but in reality, if you cannot handle life, that is why you need money and a place to stay. 2 things I would never ask a friend. Make sure your friends are at your level. They do not have to do the same things, but you must see eye to eye on certain matters like being able to care for yourself and your own life. I literally had friends who could not feed their own children. I was made into a monster if I said no to lending money, yet I have never asked for anything but friendship and to spend time together once in a while. Story 18. No effort in the big or small things. I took them to countless events. They never reciprocated, which I did not mind. What hurt the most was they never once remembered my birthday. I remember they called me on my birthday once to tell me about a girl they slept with the night before. They made a big deal of their own birthday, so they were a birthday person, but never once remembered mine. Story 19. When they started acting rude and took pleasure in my hurt reactions, the mask had fallen off. Story 20. To quote Taylor Swift, "How can you say that you love someone you can't tell is dying?" I was seriously depressed and had a major breakthrough thanks to a friend online. She didn't notice I was totally different. I realized she just wanted someone to talk at, and since she was the other person getting bullied by the whole class in elementary school, that was me. By that time, we'd gone to high school and I had made other friends. I didn't really say anything, just spent more time with my other friends and less time with her until we never saw each other. She found a new person who didn't have any other friends to talk at, so I didn't feel bad about it. It really annoys me when people talk at me, not to me. Feels so rude. My mom does it a lot as well. Story 21. When I left the town I grew up in, they would message me. Let me know when you're back and we will hang out. Clearly, they don't care enough about me to get on a train or take a bus. Story 22. I finally got a job working the counter at a small takeaway after months of unemployment. I was desperate for a job and was over the moon to get it. I was sexually assaulted by the boss during lockup a few days into my shifts. I came home in shock and told my partner what happened. She told me I should still work there because I needed the money. Thankfully, despite my shock, some part of my brain knew going back was not right. I gave notice and moved out as soon as I could. It opened my eyes to what the rest of the friendship was actually like. Story 23. We were supposedly best friends, but on several occasions, it felt like a harsh wake-up call that we weren't anywhere near that. She had a car when we were in high school. One day, we were driving around after school and invited her new boyfriend, who was also my friend, to come with us. She had just started dating him about 2 weeks before this, and we had been friends for over a year and a half at that point. She parked the car at school after we all came back from somewhere and basically kicked me out so she could be with her boyfriend. I had to walk about 3 miles back home. Another time was when she first came to my house in high school. She lived in a very nice neighborhood about 10 minutes from my house. I lived in an apartment with my mom and brother. It wasn't the biggest place, but the high-rise community was decent. When she walked into my house, I saw a visible look of disgust on her face just having to be there. It felt very degrading, even though it only lasted a few seconds and she never said it out loud. That same day when she came over, my mom was there. My family is Christian, and her family is Jewish. My mom has been involved in the church all her life, directing choirs and regularly playing the organ for churches. She often sings hymns around the house and has arranged her own pieces. She was in the kitchen singing while my friend and I were on the couch in the living room. Later, I saw her social media story, and it said, "This lady is in here singing hymns. Talk about awkward." He was incredibly disrespectful. At the time, I didn't know that part of her religious beliefs did not allow her to listen to religious music. Had I known, I would have said something to my mom. I couldn't believe she did that and never said anything to her about it. The final straw was when I found out she started dating a guy that I really liked. I struggled between still being emotionally invested and trying to get over him. I saw them together at a party on social media and lost it. I started uncontrollably sobbing and blocked both of them before I even knew what happened. I found out later that she talked to him before they decided to date but didn't talk to me beforehand. She just assumed I was over him. I've never spoken to her again except for one time a couple of months later when our mutual friend hosted a game night. I was cordial and gave her a hug, but after that, I never spoke to her again. It hurts because her family, especially her mom, was always kind to me, and I never had the chance to tell them why I stopped showing up when I used to be there all the time. Coming from someone whose father died at a young age, her dad was very much a father figure and male role model I appreciated having around, and I lost that because of her. Story 24. He was always comparing his brief relationships to my girlfriend's appearance. Then he slept with my girlfriend on a trip. That really put a damper on things. Story 25. I was diagnosed with cancer, and she never reached out to me, not once. I know she knows because my husband told her husband when they were out with a group after my diagnosis. Story 26. The moment I stopped giving him rides whenever he wanted is when he stopped acting like a friend. Story 27. When I did not pass my first driving test, she did not sit with me while I waited for my paperwork. That and other little things helped me realize I was just her good deed for the day and not thought of as a friend. Story 28. I became social quite late. The moment I realized I had enemies was when so-called friends were asking me about a rumor. They were not really asking, but imposing that what they heard was true because they wanted it to be true. Story 29. I was 12. My mother was dying. We were best friends, but they never asked how I was doing. The last time we spoke was at my 8th grade graduation. They did not check in even once after junior high. Story 30. She was very sexually free. She liked sex and seemed to view all men as mountains to be conquered, because no matter who they were, she wanted to sleep with them at least once. It didn't bother me much, as I was going through my own phase after finally finding myself at university, so I felt I had no room to judge. However, I was starting to develop feelings for one guy in particular. Knowing how she was, I asked her directly not to sleep with him because it would hurt me. She slept with him anyway and then lied about it to my face multiple times while I was with him and we were confronting her. I never spoke to her again. Story 31. They were there. They heard the lies, the shade, and the way I was treated unfairly. They just stayed quiet. No defense, no support, not even a message afterward to ask if I was okay. Story 32. The moment I asked her, for months before my birthday, to do something together for my birthday, her reply was, "I don't know what I will be doing then." I knew my place in her world with that single comment. Story 33. They initiated so much of it, then cut me off when it suited them, only to say they will keep doing it. Lucky escape, quite frankly. Story 34. They kept telling me I was stupid and didn't know how to research or know the truth. I asked them to stop multiple times. They didn't, so I ghosted them and didn't look back. All they ever had to do to repair it was apologize. Story 35. They become upset with me whenever I do not want to do exactly what they want or will not accompany them to a place they wish to go. However, whenever I suggest something, it is always rejected. Story 36. We were talking on the phone. She continued complaining about her incompetent coworkers. I let her vent, then said, "I think my kidneys are failing again." She replied, "And what does that have to do with me?" She was irritated and wanted to keep complaining about her coworkers. Fortunately, my kidneys were fine, and I never spoke to her again. Story 37. Relativizing my problems through the lens of others' problems, in a "you can't complain because I have it far worse" kind of way. I went out of my way to be supportive for a long time, until I had issues that prevented me from continuing in the same way. The very first reaction was blaming me for not being a good friend, being suspicious of my motives rather than understanding and caring about my own problems. Even though my efforts did not need to be reciprocated to the same extent, I did not feel like my needs as a friend were prioritized over anything else. There were some gestures which were nice, but no investment that made me feel appreciated as a person. My true friends are there for me when I need them, just as I am there for them. Story 38. When they call you out on your behavior and demand apologies but never apologize when they do something wrong, and let a decades-long friendship burn to the ground because of this when they are finally called out on it. Story 39. They were there for me during bad times but never during good times. It took me a while to realize they felt better about themselves through my suffering and were jealous when things went well for me. Story 40. He would roast me all the time, even when I was literally crying over something. I was upset because a guy I had been dating met someone else and he said, "Maybe you should date someone more on your level, big, overweight, unattractive guys." I was already crying. Story 41. Only ever invited to help out with things or because another friend invited me. I go through hard times needing help. They ignore me. I reach out all the time wishing happy birthdays and such. I get nothing in return when it's my birthday. Not even a mention. Story 42. Just before and during the pandemic, my best friend would drive right past my new home to do more Facebook-worthy events. We worked together for years. We knew protocols and what a safe visit meant, as both registered nurses. Then she called me to ask about the proper dosing of a certain medication to help her husband. He is abusive and has hit her and one of the kids. I blocked and stopped contact. A week later, she is posting her picture-perfect life on Facebook and Instagram. No thank you, but I still feel guilty. She helped me through my divorce from an abusive narcissist. Man, I have never confessed that before today. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.